All right, here's our monthly Team Lead and Love Four Corners Zoom. So Success Club for April. Top of the board, Heidi Price with Success Club 14. Taylor Prine and April both got 12. Woohoo. I was at 10. Emily was at 10. Stephanie was at 10. Yay. Libby Nations at 6. Woohoo. And then Changing Lives, Jordan Trevino at 4. So close. Jessica at 3. Peter got 2. Yay. Laura Bates got 2. Yay. Amy Lopez got 2. Jen Martin got 2, one of my new coaches. Matt Prine got 2. Go Taylor. And Luciana Zachman got 2. So that's 46 lives in the month of April, which is pretty cool if you think about it. So tonight we're having Stephanie. She did a recording of some of her tips to share with us. But first, Jess wanted to talk to two of our top Success Club people for April. So we're going to be asking Heidi Price to start with some of her tips. Heidi is one of April's coaches. She's Emerald. She's a success starter. Am I forgetting anything else, April? I don't think so.
I don't remember. I've had 4 hours of sleep. You can't ask me questions on the fly right now.
That's right. If I'm forgetting.
She's going to Summit. She's going to Summit.
Oh, I get a free ticket to Summit.
Yeah, and she's going.
Cool.
And she's
Yes.
going. She's
I am going to be there.
Happen.
Oh, it's
That's
all
a big
scheduled.
deal. That's a big deal, especially for a new coach. That's a big deal.
Right. You've been coaching for how long, Heidi? I can't remember.
I started in October.
Nice.
So like 5 or 6 months. I don't know. I lost track, I think.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Well, you're clearly doing well, hitting Success Club 14. So
I don't even know what happened last month. That was freaking, every time I turned around, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? Really? Yes. Okay.
What happened was you were yourself. You were honest and raw and vulnerable, and you showed up consistently. That's what happened.
Yeah. It was that rough month that I had, that I was building all this planting, that I was like, I'm not doing anything. Nothing's happening.
Yeah. Compound effect, baby.
Yeah, it did. But yeah. So should I start?
Yes, go ahead.
So basically, I've listened to some Zooms and took some tips from those people. But what I do is initially every day I try to do 2 to 3 posts. I always do my workout post. And then so certain people are always following me, but if I find new people following me, then I'll reach out to them. I think I kind of stole this one from James to say, if I don't know them, I'll say, hi, thank you for, liking my post. I really appreciate it. I like the support out there, and just start a conversation. If it's somebody I don't know, I never bring, I just make a conversation. I just ask them how they're doing, what's going on in their lives. And usually before I do that, I'll go in and and comment on some of their posts and on their page, find out something that they have going on in their life, ask them about their family or their kids or whatever they're into, to try to start a conversation. Sometimes those peter out and sometimes they don't. So sometimes people just keep talking to me for days and days and days. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe you really I'm finding that the more I post, people think they know me, they really know me. And so they just start talking to me like they've known me for years, and it's kind of weird, but kind of cool. And then I've been getting a lot of people from school. I've reconnected with everybody I went to high school with, and that's been really fun. I've actually had a great time with that. People that I was just a normal person. I wasn't a super popular person. And I'm getting to know all these girls that were the really popular cheerleaders, and they want, to look like me. And I'm like, what? So it's kind of weird. But with those people, I just say, oh, do you live in the area? How many kids do you have? That kind of thing. Sometimes it'll peter out, and then I'll just give it a couple weeks, and I'll, come back, and I'll just say, how are you doing? What's going on? And that's just mostly I just start conversations, and I have several conversations before I ever invite anybody to any of my groups. I used to invite a little bit sooner, I think. It's kind of just depends. I just judge, but I find, especially now that people really think they know me, I can invite sometimes sooner because they're like, oh, I watch you every day. I know you. I know all about your life. Have you got a house yet? you know, so it's amazing how like you build relationships with people and you don't even realize it. Like they're having a relationship with me that I'm not aware of. And I run into people at work and they're like, I know so much more about you than I've ever known. And I'm like, oh, it's a little awkward, but it takes a little getting used to. But anyway, I just follow up and then eventually I'll just say, hey, we've been chatting and, you seem really fun. I think you'd really enjoy my group. Do you want to hear more about it? And that's usually what I say. And then they'll be like, yeah, or no, it's not a good time for me. And it's funny because even if they're not interested, later they might be interested and then I'll tell them about it. And then maybe they don't want to do it. But later they'll come back and be like, okay, I'm ready now. And that's, I think, what happened last month. I had all these people like, okay, I'm ready. And I'm like, whoa, we didn't even talk. Like it just like took me off guard. So this has been a really, like, we put our house on the market. Just told me to kind of bring this up just, April something. And I've been having a really hard time, like, doing my business right now. I'm just like, I'm trying so hard to hold on, but I mean, it's really hard. I mean, I'm packing every week. I'm shopping for a house every week. The people that are buying our house are trying to be really unreasonable with negotiations, and we don't want to lose them, and I'm having to negotiate with my husband and my realtor, and I feel all this pressure from so many sides, and I'm just like, I don't want to let my business go because it means so much to me, but it's like I feel like I don't know. I just barely can breathe.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing the best I can, and I'm just like, okay, I need to at least focus on my people and my health.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get as many connections as I can, but many days I'm disappointed with how much work I've done.
I think we can all relate to that. I think we all
Yeah.
in our life where that happens, and that's okay.
And I think it's important to point out too that Heidi has a full-time job outside of coaching as well.
Yeah.
That's trying to hold that together. I mean, selling your house alone is a full-time job.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And my husband is like, anyway, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, that's all I got.
But I also would like to point out that Heidi still shows up consistently every single morning on video after her workout. And she's only on, it's what, 30 seconds a minute?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Anywhere from a minute and a half to 3, 4.
And it's adorable. She goes live every morning, and it's adorable. It's just like, it's Heidi time. It's Heidi morning, and it's like, it's nothing forced. It's nothing salesy. It's just Heidi showing up because she's just like, hey guys, look, I'm here again. And I just did this workout, and that one was a little harder than the last one, but I really like the way and she's making these connections.
Yeah.
And it's 1 to 2 minutes of her day. And that is why
that's the one thing I feel like I can do.
Yep.
And it's like, it's easy. And it's like, and I think I'm earning trust, and everybody I talk to, they're like, I watch you every day.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, and I would say all of us who've done that can say yes, like we can all relate, because that's been our story too. Like I know I have people straight up tell me, like, I look for your workout video so that I'll go get motivated. And I'm like, you do? Like I wouldn't watch.
I know.
I'm like, why? But they do. They like to feel like they know you. I love that you go live. That takes guts, man. 5 times a week? More?
Every day. 7 days? I love it. I actually love it. And people like comment on what I say, and
I love
it was really hard at first, but now it's almost like a therapeutic thing for me.
For sure.
Like, I don't know. I really like it. And I'm like, I look crappy. I have bags under my eyes every morning, and sometimes I have a little makeup from the day before. Sometimes I don't. And sometimes my hair is weird. But I think that connects with people, because I think a lot of times people think, oh, she's thin, she works out, she's always been this way, and she's perfect. And I think shows that like I'm so far from that.
Right.
You know.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing your
Thanks.
tips, even in the midst of all your craziness and chaos.
Yeah.
So hang in there.
Thank you.
Don't hesitate to reach out because that's what we're all here for. All right. Next up, we're going to hear from Emily, who's been coaching about the same amount of time because you were.
Yeah, officially, yeah, October.
Yeah. And you're also an Emerald, shooting for Diamond and shooting for being home from work because she works full-time job too.
Yep.
I'll let you go ahead and jump.
Okay.
If I've missed anything you can add in.
I think you covered it. Okay, so the first kind of where I've learned the most is when the months that I haven't hit Success Club. And I think the number one thing, and I know we hear this all the time, is our mindset. And I think my number one thing that I do is I make a lot of assumptions, and I'm getting better at not doing that. But there's a lot of people that I'm like, I'm not going to invite them because I don't think they're going to say yes. And I don't think they're going to like it. And all of this, you know, I just have these like assumptions about people. And so there's times when I have someone that says yes that I'm super shocked about. And I'm like, really? Wow. Okay. And then there's times when I've seen people go over to other companies, multi-level marketing fitness companies. And I'm like, really? What? Like I could have had that person. And I know Joy can relate to this too, but so I'm getting over the assumptions. And when I'm having a conversation with someone, I take that out and I invite basically everybody. And I think one of the easiest ways to be able to invite people is consistent social media sharing. So I always post my workout every morning. I don't go live. I guess I could do that a little more. I know that reaches more people, but I always share my workouts. Anybody that messages or comments or likes it, I go and I send them a private message. And I don't say like, hey, would you want to join my group? I say, thanks so much for the like and the love on my pics. You know, it keeps me extra motivated. That's basically what I say every time. It's either someone posting on a workout or on a meal prep thing. If they comment or like, I'll go and send them a quick message and be like, thanks for liking it. You know, have you done any meal prep? I'll just kind of ask a question. I always end it with a question and just keep it super casual and light. And I basically get everybody responding to those. If they don't respond, I haven't figured out how to like go back and say something to them yet, but we'll figure that out. And then I like to look through and see people that have posted about their food or their workouts or anything that's different from Beachbody. I'll look and see, and then I'll send them a quick message and be like, hey, I noticed you're doing this. What do you think of it? And I'll just ask them a question. I won't make it salesy, won't do any of that, and just kind of keep the conversation going. I also really like 5-day free groups. So I have had big success with my 5-day free groups. I try to shoot for like 25 to 30 people in my groups. And I always invite the people that I've had some conversations going with for a while. And I'll just say like, hey, I have a clean eating group that's coming up this next week. Would you want to join? And even if I haven't had a conversation going with them, but if it's someone that I feel comfortable with, I'll send them and I'll be like, hey, I'm not sure if you'd be interested, but I'm doing a 5-day free group. Does it sound like something you want to join in? And I add a little bit more of detail in there too. But I don't have a lot of people that say no to those. If they say no, it's usually just because they're busy that week or they're out of town or whatever. Most people say yes. And it's a really easy way to practice inviting. I think that's kind of how I got my jump start. Before doing my first 5-day group, I don't think I really invited anybody. And then when I did my first 5-day group, I invited 50 people. And it was just like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I got like 35 people in that group, which I was like, oh my God, now I have to manage all these people. But from there, I got, I think 3 or 4 people that actually joined a challenge group after that. And that's what I've seen. It's been about like 1 to 10 people. 1 out of 10 people will join the challenge group. And so I have a system of halfway through the 5-day group, I send them a voice memo and tell them how awesome they're doing and find out if there's anything they need help with from me. And then once it's over, I send them another voice memo and say, hey, I think you'd be awesome we have a longer group. Would you want to join in that? And I love doing voice memos because I feel like people just connect with you more, and they hear your voice. They know you're being genuine. They don't think you're just trying to sell them something. One thing I also do with my 5-day groups is I send out a little questionnaire and just say, like, when I invite them or after they say yes, I say, hey, can you fill out this quick questionnaire? Not everybody does it, but it's kind of nice because the people that do it, you can kind of figure out their goals a little bit, especially if you haven't had a lot of those conversations. You can find out what they're looking for, and then you can use that when you're inviting them to a challenge group. You can
that questionnaire yourself.
I think I got it from Stephanie or someone. I didn't write it. Or maybe it was I don't know. It's the same one I do for all the challenge groups.
So it's a WooFoo form?
What's that?
It's a WooFoo form?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oh.
Am I freezing?
Yeah, a little bit, but you're okay.
Okay.
Just go ahead.
Now I can hear you. I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, Google Forms? April, you were the one that talked.
Okay. So anyways, yeah, so
go ahead.
What?
No, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, so sending out the questionnaire gives me an idea of their goals, so I can use that when I invite them to a challenge group. If they say not right now, I usually, I follow up usually the next month, and then if they say no, then I wait a few more months before asking them again. And I shoot to do 2 to 3 invites a day. And then I do following up with new friends, and the only thing I've really done so far is friend suggestions. And I'll usually find, I don't know, I've found a lot of people that I am not friends with still, and I'll just send them a quick note. Like, even if they don't remember me, I'll just act like, hey, it's been a long time, how's it going from our high school days, or I'll put a little thing in there so they know where we're from. And usually we have a lot of friends, mutual friends, and then start conversations that way. So those are some of my tips. Nothing, I don't think that anybody hasn't heard before. I think it's all kind of the same stuff, just being consistent and not being afraid to send out invites and really getting to know who you are serving. So I've been reading the Sell or Be Sold, which is amazing. So good. I need everything in that book. I need to reread it and highlight and mark it. But always keeping the customer forefront and knowing what they need and that we're servicing them. We're not just going to try to sell them and push them a product. We're going to find out what they need and see if it's a fit for them and help them see that and help them see the value. I try to do that, and I think I can work on that a little more. So I'm going to continue working on that.
It's not a one-size-fits-all. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone have any questions at all? If not, we will go ahead and watch Stephanie's video. So I'm going to share my screen. And here we go. Okay. Here it is. Wrong thing. Okay, you guys ready? Here we go.
Hi team, I am excited to be joining you via Zoom, pre-recorded Zoom. Thanks everybody for showing up tonight. I know that you already kind of have a heads up that the title of tonight's Zoom is Go for the No. And we've all had some training on how to invite. And this time the training is going to be just a smidge different than I think what we're used to in the traditional how to invite training. The things that I'm going to talk about are just a little bit different, but still very on topic for having the courage to invite. It's not uncommon for me to hear from my coaches, from all of you, to see on the boards asking for advice, like what to say now, how to deal with this, how to deal with that. So I thought rather than just addressing the direct, like this is exactly how you invite, maybe we should address a little bit more of like the anxieties leading up to the invitations and up to the going for the no. So I'll start with explaining the go for the no. This might not be new to you, but it's always a good reminder. The more people that you invite, the more people are going to say yes, but also the more people that are going to say no or not right now. And so it's really important to remember that no is not personal. No is just no, not right now, no thank you. They're just not ready for it. They don't see the value in it, or they truly can't afford it right now. And that's okay. So going for the no is really important because it changes sort of your outlook of, I'm going to sell this person something, or I'm going to get a yes from this person, or is this going to work too? I'm going to assume that they're going to say no. And not in like a going into the conversation, I'm assuming you're going to say no way. But excuse me, the reality is a lot of people say no first. I said no. I said no for 7 months in a row. I said no. So you never know where it's going to end up. So going for the no means you put yourself out there, you practiced, you tried, and you got a no. Big deal. That doesn't mean anything. The more no's you get, the closer you are to a yes. So I would say for myself that on average, I invite personally probably around 30 people a month, a direct invite. That doesn't include all of the conversations, all of the personal, not personal development, but all of the new conversations I start, the connections I'm making. That's direct invites. And out of those 30 people, I consistently on average have between 3 to 5, 6 people say yes every month. And so that's a lot of people I'm inviting. That's a lot of no's I'm getting. A lot of those no's turn into yeses later. Pretty rarely do I have somebody that I've invited say yes on the first time. So going for the no is going for the yes later. And when you sort of restructure that in your mind, you can go for the no safely and not feel so much anxiety about it. So when I say prepare for the people that you're talking to say no, I don't actually mean like just walk into it knowing they're going to say no with negativity in mind. You know they're going to say yes. You just don't know if they're going to say yes this month. Does that make sense? Okay. So the tips that I've put together aren't going to be, here's a script, here's what you should say. Because this really has to be authentically your journey, your experience, what feels comfortable for you. When you script something and copy and paste something that somebody else says, if it's not your voice and your words and how you would say it, then you're not going to get a yes. People are going to feel that from you, and you're going to feel that from you. You're going to go into the conversation significantly more salesy than you intend to, and you're going to miss the opportunity to share this with somebody else. A book I just finished that I want to recommend for everyone to read would be Sell or Be Sold. I listened to it while I was running. I wish I had read it. I just don't have time right now because I would have highlighted the heck out of it. What I found myself doing was stopping, or not even stopping, I'd be running and making notes in my phone, like speaking notes in, like I pause the book while I'm running and make notes because there was so much good content. And what I learned from that book, what you learn right off the bat, is that in every single conversation you have, you're either selling or being sold to. Every conversation, including this one. My job right now is to sell my ideas to you. When you take this information to your teams, or your customers, you're then selling to them. When you speak to your kids about a disciplinary action, you're either selling to them that they need to change their behavior, or they're selling to you and telling you why they don't deserve to be disciplined for whatever. So every interaction literally is about being sold to or doing the selling. And that's the basis of this book. And it's really incredible. It's really helped me in a lot of my conversations, not just in this business. So I highly recommend that you read this book. And actually going forward, any of my new coaches will receive this book as a new coach gift, because I think it's that important for people to read it. So that's my number one tip. Get that book, listen to it or read it. No excuses. Like listen to it. And I know a few other people, Joy had shared in our 7-day accountability group for coaching that she used some of the methods and that they're working for her. I've used more of like the voice and the message, and it's worked for me. So you'll hear me talk a little bit about that throughout this Zoom too. Okay, tip number 1, you already sold your story, so it's time to listen to theirs. This is kind of addressing that fear of like, what do I say once I'm in the conversation with somebody? So you're in the middle of a conversation and you're talking about Beachbody, or you know it's coming. It's time to invite. This is when it gets important, whether it's over Facebook or in person. People have already heard your story. They're either reaching out to you and trusting you and asking your advice, or inquiring about Beachbody or whatever they're doing because they've seen your story. They know your story. This isn't the time to share your story because you need to hear what their wants and their desires and their needs are. If you're now still focused in this conversation on yourself, you're missing the point. And oftentimes I think that's what we do because we're nervous or we're anxious or we're thinking about like what we were thinking at their point. What we were thinking could be very different from what they're thinking and feeling about making this investment in themselves. So you've now shared your story. That doesn't mean that you don't do a tiny bit of self-disclosure as you go. So maybe you stop and you say, I understand what that's like, or I felt the same way. And here is some information for you. But you're still always ending with the question that's relating to their story still. You don't want to make this conversation about you. They already know who you are. They've already seen your message on Facebook or heard you talk to them about it. Don't make this part of the conversation about you. You really have to add value to their life and to their story and help them create sort of their decision and their value in this by hearing what they have to say. If they're listening to what you have to say about yourself only, they're just hearing more of your story. And now's the time where their story starts with Beachbody. Does that make sense? I hope so. Really focus on their story, asking them questions like, what are your goals? What do you struggle with? Why do you think you struggle with that? Here's how this package relates to that struggle. Here's how this can help with that struggle. What do you enjoy most about working out? What do you enjoy least? What kind of workouts? There's so many directions you can go, and really listen. And sometimes you might respond with, I relate to that. I felt that same way too. But then don't go off on a big tangent about your own story. This is their time. This is your time to create their value for this package. Okay. Be willing to listen. I mean, I kind of just covered that. We listen to respond, and that's not always a bad thing. Like, I think sometimes, a lot of times when we listen to respond, we're not doing it intentionally, but we're so anxious and so nervous about what they're going to say and how they're going to respond that we aren't actually listening. We have to hear what they're saying in order to respond appropriately. So don't be waiting to share with them. Really listen, or look at, if you're typing out your messages, look at what they're saying. Don't just assume what they're saying and what they mean, but actually look for what they're saying and what they mean. They're trusting you with some pretty vulnerable information right now. And so it's our responsibility to protect that and to respond in a way that's genuine and authentic. Okay, my next tip, objections. I always hear objections are really scary. I totally get it. Objections are still scary for me 2 years later. A lot of times addressing objections goes back to that last one of being willing to listen. But being prepared for objections is even more important. You can't just have a generalized script for each objection. You can have kind of an idea and maybe some reasons, but I highly recommend that you sit down and write out every objection you can possibly think of. Think of like the objections that you had. Think of the objections that you've already come across. Think of the objections you're scared of people having. And write out a list, like just sit down and take 10 to 15 minutes, even a half an hour, 45 minutes, and write down every objection that you can possibly think of. And then think about, like little bullet points of how you would handle each of those objections. I'm a big fan of pen to paper. I think putting it from your brain onto a piece of paper really helps you process and move through things. And objections in life, absolutely. I do it all the time in my journaling. So why not apply that same idea to objections in inviting? Put pen to paper and create your list of objections that you fear most. Put list of objections that maybe you don't fear but that you had, objections that you've heard other people have had, and then make a list under each of those of bullet points that you would respond with. It's going to be a little bit different for each person that you talk to because, again, we're going back to listening and creating value for each specific person. And so your answer might be similar but a little bit different from person to person. But having that written out, doing this exercise will truly help you feel a lot more prepared for those objections. I know they're scary. I know they create anxiety. So go straight through the middle of it and just handle it now. Get rid of the objection of objections. People are allowed to have objections. I actually now welcome objections. Even though I'm anxious about them too, just like you are, I welcome them, I want them, because it gives me something new to work through and something new to learn, not just about myself and about this product and this company, but about that person. You can learn a lot about a person based on their objections. You now know that money is important to them. You now know that they give up really easily. You now know that they require additional support through their first, second, third month of the challenge group. You now know that on weekends, they eat 40 cupcakes. And so you can address that separately when it comes time to coach them. So welcome objections and just be prepared for them. You don't have to have all the answers. And if you feel like you made a mistake and said the wrong thing, so you made a mistake and said the wrong thing. It's not the end of the world. If they truly wanted it, they would get it from you. You're not going to blow it if you're genuine and authentic. So go back to those things. Be genuine, be authentic, be prepared, and listen. Listen to what they're saying. Okay. The next tip I have for you is to think back to how you were invited and how many times you were invited. I kind of shared earlier, I was invited for 7 months before I said yes. I bought 3 sampler packs. I was never going to buy Shakeology. Then when I bought it, I was only going to use it for 1 month and then only for 2 months. And then after the second month of consistently drinking Shakeology every day, I knew I wasn't ever going to quit. There are moments, of course, like anything else where I think, there are other things I could be doing with my time, but I haven't left and I won't leave. I'm basically a lifer. I'll be drinking Shakeology until I can't drink it anymore. And so think about that. Like, think about what was it that brought you in after you said no? Maybe you said yes the first time, but what kept you from coming? And then once you were in, why are you here? Why did you stay? What keeps you coming back to drinking Shakeology? These are just things that are important to remember and to keep in mind. It's not like you have to necessarily share those with people, though you'll find plenty of times that you do. Those are really actually great social media posts. But think about that. Those things are important because where the people are that you're inviting is where you were at one time. So not only does it help them to know more about you and why you said no, but it helps you kind of be in that empathetic spot of, I get it. I didn't want to either. And here's why I do it now. And that's what a lot of my Facebook posts are actually about. I really focus on that I used to and now I, or I didn't want to and now I. And I see the naysayers. They show up on my Facebook all the time. And you know what they are? My challenge accepted. Someday those naysayers will be drinking Shakeology. And funny story for you, I actually got 2 of them last month. So it happens. They come around. They see your consistency. And they know that at one point you were like, nah, no way, I'm not doing this either. And maybe that's not your story. Maybe you fell in love with Shakeology right away. And maybe you said yes on the first time. But all of those things are just really important to know. So really reflect on My next tip was about authenticity, but I've kind of covered that this whole time. I know that the fear is always, I don't want to sound salesy. So don't sound salesy. Just be you. Just be yourself. It's kind of simple. I know that it doesn't feel simple when you're walking through it, but all of those previous suggestions about being prepared, being genuine, listening, all of those things will just help you be authentic. You're just always having a conversation with someone about something that you love and believe in. Okay. This is a big one, and this is from Sell or Be Sold. The quote was, if you aren't willing to share the product that you're selling, like completely 100% authentically walk into sharing it and have, all the, what's the word I'm looking for? All the confidence, thank you, I can think of it, all the confidence in the world, then you're not sold on that product. You're not sold on it. Think about that. If you aren't sold, you're not willing to share it. If it means something to you and it's brought value to your life, that's what you need to focus on. And be willing to offer that to other people. And if you're not yet sold, and you need to be resold on the product yourself. I can't do it as well as he did it in the book. You're going to have to read that book or listen to it. But when I heard that, I was like, #mind blown. It's amazing. So either get yourself sold, back onto the product, listen to that book, make your lists, be genuine and authentic, and be prepared to listen to your people, and get yourself sold that you're doing the right thing, that you're here for a reason. Or start selling. Sell or be sold, right? A really great tip that I heard both in this book and actually from another one of our Zooms is don't neglect your old customers. You know those people who were on Shakeology for a month and then they stopped? And that was a really long time ago, or maybe it was last month. So what I've done is I've created a group. And anyone who's ever purchased Shakeology from me is in that group. Actually, not ever, because I just started it a few months ago. So it was from that point forward. And since then, I've added a few people back who have repurchased. So everyone just stays in this group. So I think I have like 55 people in it right now. And that's just people from this year who have purchased Shakeology. And I'm constantly posting in there about our groups. I do a little motivational post every week or every day. I post about upcoming events, about the new groups that are coming, tips for the weekend, information about Shakeology. And because of that, because I've left all those people in there who have canceled their shakes, a lot of them have come back and reordered shakes or gotten a new challenge pack or rejoined the groups and have consistently been on it. They're just reminded. So they don't just go away. They don't just stop drinking shakes and go away. They're coming back. I'm re-inviting those same people. Hey girl, how are you? How's your journey? I know you stopped doing shakes. How's it been since then? How are you feeling? Just reopening those conversations. And some of them are like, my life is great without Shakeology. And that's okay. And some of them are like, I miss my shakes. How do I get more? And more often than not, that happens. So don't neglect your old customers, for sure. That's a really important tip. You need to invite them just like you invite new people. Let's see. Oh, don't worry about selling out. So this was something that I also heard in Sell or Be Sold. And have you noticed I should make money off the sales of that book from this team now. Just kidding. Don't worry about selling out. One of my biggest issues is that I'm really busy. And I'm worried every month that I won't have enough time to give people. I won't have enough time to give challengers. I won't have enough time to give coaches. And I didn't realize that I was having that issue until really recently. Actually, when I was kind of thinking about that, and then when I heard this chapter in the book, I was like, wow, that's what I do. And so what I was doing is I wasn't living up to and selling to my potential. I was just doing like a goal, but I wasn't ever trying to reach farther than that goal. My goal was always Success Club. So every month I've consistently hit Success Club, and that's it. Like sometimes I'll have like a month where I have more than 6, but on average, well, I guess my average is a little higher than 6, but generally once I hit 6, I'm okay. Like, I'm relaxed for the rest of the month. I'm not pushing as hard. And one of my big fears was like, well, if I bring more people on than that, I won't have time for them. I barely have time for who I have now. And that's just not true. Being sold out isn't a problem. And if it is, it's a new problem that I need to welcome in and learn how to handle. Because it's really not going to take a lot more of my time to coach more people or mentor more people, because we do a lot of our stuff in groups, right? So it's really just about me developing a relationship with them, understanding what they want, checking in one-on-one with them a little bit more. And that's not going to take up a lot more of my time. So don't worry about selling out. Don't just set your limit at a certain amount and never go past that. There's no reason why I can't have Success Club 6 as my goal and then push beyond that. And so actually the last 2 months since I heard that, that's what I've done. I was like, I'm not stopping at 6. There's no reason I can't have more than that. Last month I hit Success Club 12. This month I'm already at 10, and I'm expecting 2 more people. Like, once I got over that barrier in my brain of like, I can only do 6, that's all I have time for, already it's made a huge difference. So don't be limited by smaller things. Like, it doesn't mean that you have to do more than that, but don't limit yourself. Don't decide what you're capable of and be concerned about selling out. Okay, and then the very last thing that I wanted to cover today about some of the anxieties that I hear around selling and going for the no is kind of what I talked about a few minutes ago, but I just really wanted to bring it home at this point. If you are resisting selling, then you still need to be sold. And so what does that mean? That means personal development. Like, what are you focusing your personal development on? And is it on how to sell and have conversations? The reality is that we are selling something. That doesn't mean that we're salesy or salespeople. Those things aren't adjectives, salesy and salespeople. We are selling something. We are doing the verb. We are selling, and we are in sales, and that's a reality of this position. I'm in this job to help people and support people and to give them a new life and to help teach them to take back their own life, put their oxygen masks on, give them tips and tricks. I'm not in it to do this for them. I'm here to provide tools, the same tools that I was given, that you have to buy. You don't get them for free. And I want to be paid for my time. It's my passion, and I want to be paid for it. Being paid for it makes it worthwhile, right? Like, it feels good. Don't get me wrong. It's worthwhile to hear this is working for people, but I also want a paycheck for it. And that's okay. It's okay. It's okay that we are in sales, and it's okay that we are selling and that we are salespeople. Those aren't ugly words. Those are facts of what we do. That's not the only reason why we do this. Our why is separate from that. But don't be ashamed of that. That's what we do. That's how you got into this, and that's how I got into this. So own it. Do your personal development work around that, and be prepared for feeling and owning sort of that position. So I guess if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them through private messenger. I hope that you were able to get something good out of this training. And if you need some ideas of some different books that you can read as far as like the sales technique goes, first start with Sell or Be Sold, and then we can talk about other books and options after that too. There's a lot of really good ones out there, but start with Sell or Be Sold. Sell or be sold, sell or be sold, sell or be sold. Be authentic. Let me just go over here, go over my things. Be prepared for your objections. Be willing to listen. Remember that you've already told your story. And think about where you came from and how you got to Beachbody. And lead with that. And own the fact that we sell things. Because we sell some pretty badass products. Okay, everybody, have a good night. And I will see you guys at the next Zoom.
All right. If I can figure this out here. Good stuff. Good stuff. I also stress Sell or Be Sold. Fantastic book, and kind of piggybacking off of what Emily said earlier with making sure you really get to know people so that you can serve them in the right way. That actually is what got me to actually start offering a more expensive solution to some people, like he talks about in the book, because not everybody is ready to just jump in with no kind of mental prep or physical prep to just doing a 180-degree turn. So I realized there's a bunch of people out there who need the 3-day refresh to help them get that kickstart mentally, physically, and get them ready to even take on something like that. I'm actually having success with that. What she mentioned is about me saying I've had success is me going back to people who were nervous and kind of hesitating on buying a challenge pack, and me saying, you know what, I totally get it. It's a really big kind of scary mental thing for you to want to jump into this challenge group where you're changing everything. I feel like I probably gave you the wrong solution. And I would think this is a better solution for you because it would give you some quick wins where all you have to focus on is your nutrition. You don't have to do everything. Give you the mental win, the physical win, get you ready to start doing other things. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. And I'm like, oh my God, it works, because it's about finding what's going to work best for them. And so if you're really listening to what they're afraid of or what's causing them to hold back, that's going to help you even in giving them a more expensive option. So anyways, does anybody have any questions or want to talk about anything before I shut this down? No? All right. Then I'm going to stop recording this because I don't think we need to keep